Hello, welcome to an all new speed reviews. I have a ton of products that I have been just like dying to update you guys on. Some of them you've seen me test out on camera when I did like first impressions, but some of these I feel like we haven't even talked about and I've kind of been testing behind the scenes and I'm just so eager to share my thoughts. So let's jump in. Okay, as always, I like to put timestamps on these videos. I put timestamps on every single video, actually. It really doesn't even matter the category. But for these, I feel like those are most helpful. So if you need to skip around to anything, everything is gonna be chapters down below. But let's start off. Actually, let's start off with a foundation. This is the foundation I'm wearing today, but I mixed it with another foundation. So like, kind of. This is new from Keys Soul Care, which is Alicia Keys' makeup brand. Well, it's makeup, skincare, soul care. A lot of people don't know this, but this is actually kind of a partnership with e.l.f. So I've been intrigued by this brand. I haven't loved everything, but this definitely had my attention. They did send this to me. This is called It's Like Skin 2-in-1 Concealer plus Tint. It is a very light coverage skin tint that they say can be used as a 2-in-1 product to also conceal. You probably got all that from the name. But anyways, I disagree with that. Let me start there. This is just a skin tint. If you are looking for this to be your 2-in-1 product that you can also use as concealer, I think you will likely be let down because the coverage level of this is so sheer that I don't think it's effective at doing any form of concealing. Like it's a very light coverage product. But that being said, it's a really beautiful skin tint. So if you're more so interested in that element of it, I think you will like it. But you know, I gotta share in case you're wanting a 2-in-1 product, that's not what this is. But this, first of all, wait for it, you have a doe foot applicator. You might love that or hate that. I kind of enjoy the ease of this. And it's slightly different shape than a traditional doe foot. It has this pretty pointy tip to it, I find. So consistency-wise, this is very thin, almost watery. Like it's definitely a runny texture. The coverage level, I would say, with just a little bit, if you just do a few dots on your face, you're looking at sheer. If you do some lines, you're looking at light. At the absolute most, you could get light medium, but I wouldn't even say this goes into medium territory in terms of coverage. But I kind of like it. The finish is very glowy, but I don't always love a very glowy skin tint because I find a lot of them just kind of look greasy, emphasize texture. Like I don't think they always sit well on the skin. The glow that I receive from this product, I think just looks really luminous and natural. Like it's this perfect marriage between being very glowy, but still kind of looking natural and not greasy and artificial. Like, okay, what's all the product on your face, you know? That being said, even once I powder this, by the end of the day, this still, like the glow still comes through. And I have dry skin. Keep in mind, it's the middle of summer and it's been like humid as can be in the 90s lately. So I've been putting this, actually, I'll put the Celsius equivalent on the screen. I think that would be 30. But I've been putting this through some serious tests, okay? The weather has not been on my side, but I will say by the end of the day, I am like so glowy with this. So because of that, might not be your friend if you have oily skin, but I've actually been really enjoying this. The finish is beautiful. Today, I mixed it with Fenty Eavesdrop because that one's a little bit more matte, has a little bit more coverage, and I love it. If you have this and you have Eavesdrop, try mixing them. Let's talk lip balms. I have two to talk about, and these two come at very different price points. So let's talk about the Splurge, and then I will share the other one because I actually like and recommend both of them. So this is from Glow Recipe. This is called the Plump Hydrating Lip Gloss Balm. They have that entire line, the Plump line, that is so hard for me to say because I want to say like plum. I don't know. That's a tongue twister. But obviously it's Glow Recipe, so the packaging is going to be cute as can be. I really love this little jar. And this is just your overnight hydrating lip balm. Here's the thing. You don't need to spend this much on an overnight lip balm, but if you're in a place where you want to splurge and you want this luxurious product that feels nice, is intensely hydrating, I don't think you'll be let down by this. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I use it before bed as like a lip mask at night, but I also like it during the day, kind of just for like a glossy effect. It is very hydrating, but it doesn't feel like waxy thick the way some can. It almost sits on the lips in a similar way to a non-sticky lip gloss, if you know what I mean. Or even like similar but thinner than like petroleum jelly. You know what I mean? It's very hydrating. I love this, but it's a splurge. It's one of those things where I'm like, you don't need to spend this much on an overnight lip mask, But if you want to, I think this is a good formula. But if you're like, girl, I would never, I get it, and I'm going to recommend this instead. These are new from e.l.f. This is the Squeeze Me Lip Balm. So these come in a ton of different shades, and they have a very subtle tint. I will say the tint is minimal, but it is there. I have mine in the shade Strawberry. Now, this is not a dupe or even like an alternative to that product I just mentioned, but I think it's a nice hydrating lip product if you wanted one on a budget, you know? I don't know if they were trying to dupe. I have a few products in mind where I'm like, were they trying to dupe this? Were they trying to dupe that? Maybe this is the one time e.l.f. launched a product that isn't supposed to be a dupe. I don't know, but in my head, now every time e.l.f. launches something, I'm like, oh, what were they trying to dupe with that? I like these. It definitely has more of a waxy feel to it than the Glow Recipe one does. It's a little bit thicker, and it is a little challenging, just a little, to push through here. I feel like you need a good amount of pressure to get the product out because it is pretty thick. I ran into the same thing with their Ride or Die lip balms, which I think we've officially determined are being discontinued, which is devastating, but I really like this. I've been using it a lot. I think the subtle tint that it has is gorgeous for like a no makeup day where I want just a little something. Okay, let's stick with drugstore so I can update you on this. This is from Essence. It is the Thick and Wow Fixing Brow Mascara. I believe they intended for this to dupe the NYX Thick It, Stick It Brow Gel. I haven't tried Thick It, Stick It, so I can't say how close they are, but I've actually been loving this, you guys. So I have it in my eyebrows today. Step one on my brows was ABH Dip Brow. I know, I can't believe it either. I went really in depth about like how much I've been loving Dip Brow and how I've been using it. In a recent video, I can leave it linked down below. It was like my top 3 video where I talked about my top 3 brow products in there. But I put Dip Brow on first, and then I went through with this. This is nicely pigmented. It leaves a little bit of tint in the brows. But okay, this is my problem sometimes with tinted brow gels. You really have to have a good formulation to have a brow gel that is tinted, because some of them are almost too liquidy where I find it gets on the skin, it starts acting up, doing weird things. This is almost like the perfect consistency to really stick to the brows without being too watery and giving you like a globby mess. You know what I mean? Have you been there with a brow gel before? I really enjoy this formulation. This color also is a really beautiful, like kind of cool toned taupe shade. The shade that I have, if you're wondering, is called Caramel Blonde. The name would lead me to believe it would look a lot different than this, but I would actually describe this as a nice true taupe. The only qualm that I have with this product, like truly the only thing, is that it has a massive applicator to it. Like this would have benefited from a spoolie a third of this size. It is far too wide, far too long. And I have had a lot of subscribers say that that is how the NYX version of this brow product is. So I don't know if that's why they did that, but I think this would be so much easier to use with a smaller spoolie. Though I will say, even with the oversized applicator, I still have an easy time applying this. So actually highly recommend this, okay? Really good drugstore brow mascara. I feel like we're going in a random order today. I'm keeping you on your toes, all right? So let's talk about a palette. Look how gorgeous this is. The way it reflects light is incredible. So this was a collaboration between Angela Bright and Sigma, and I was so excited for this launch. I will say, as I'm going to be reviewing this, I have to let you know I'm very biased. Angela is my friend. I knew about this palette before it came out. I saw it months ago, and I've been so excited about this. So I will say I am likely a biased source here, but I still want to share my thoughts. I think she just did such an incredible job with this, and I'm very excited that Sigma is kind of starting to change up their palettes. That was always one of my biggest complaints with my Sigma palettes. They make them very thick so you can put the brush in, but then the palette is just like so bulky, whereas this is incredibly sleek. I love the packaging, but it doesn't come with a brush. So pros and cons. For me, I have those brushes like over and over again in my collection, but if you don't, that could be a downside. But I think this is such a beautiful range of shades. Here's the thing, this is outside of my comfort zone, and it has definitely brought me outside of my comfort zone recently. I've been playing around with this just on nights when I wanna like play with makeup. Like the other day, I did just my eyes, I just pulled this out because I was like, you know, I wanna play with this, but I also wanna continue to gather thoughts on it for this review. So I sat there and I did 2 different eye looks. I did like a green one over here, a purple one over here. Now these aren't normally my shades. This is definitely more bold, more colorful than I tend to reach for. honestly, I find myself dipping into this and this and this and this and this a lot. But even when I have created more colorful looks with this, I have enjoyed them so much. And the shade that I want to like shout about from the rooftops, that's what I'm trying to say, is this one right here, Champagne Problems. You know I love a glitter topper shade. This is like the most incredibly perfect glitter topper. I think she nailed this palette. If you're into a more bold, colorful look like this, I do not think you'll be disappointed. So huge congrats to Angela. This palette is stunning. Okay, let's bounce back to drugstore to speed through a few of these from that video. First of all, I've been like a little bit disappointed with this mascara from CoverGirl. This is their newest. It's called the Lash Blast Cleantopia Mascara. I've been a Lash Blast lover for a while, but everything that they put under this line, like, you never know. There's like not a lot of consistency here. I feel like depending on like which Lash Blast it is, some of them are great, some of them I just don't find good results with. And this one, I don't hate it, but I think you have to be after a very minimal look, which is interesting though, because sometimes I am, and I still just don't know that I'm reaching for this to do that. But first of all, I purchased mine in the brown shade. I always love a brown mascara. If you're also a brown mascara lover, I do want to note that the brown shade of this is not necessarily like a true brown. It's more so just a really muted, not so dark black, I would say. Like the brown on it, it's not as brown as I want it to be. You have this hourglass shaped brush, natural bristles. I find this formula is pretty wet. Even after having it open for a little bit, it's still pretty wet to the point where I would almost say like this isn't great for holding a curl, especially if you curl with a mechanical eyelash curler before you put your mascara on. I find that when I do that and then try to go in with this, the curl has disappeared because the formulation is so liquidy almost, not liquidy, but it's not a dry mascara, okay? We'll say that. So then my eyelashes go straight. So the only way I can really get a curl with this is if I use my heated eyelash curler after. Because if I'm curling before, this just completely eliminates that curl. You know, you get a little bit of volume, you get a little bit of length. I don't get much lift with this, and I really love lift from a mascara. It's okay for like a minimal formula, but I don't think this is gonna be the mascara that changes your life, to be honest. So it's not bad, but I'm not really going out of my way to recommend it. These from Essence, again, I think they might have been trying to dupe NYX, but this is called the Eye Tint Liquid Shadow. This is the Luminous Eye Tint Liquid Shadow. I have mine in the shade Glazed Candy Cloud. I like this. I actually like it more than the ones from NYX. These aren't fully opaque, pigmented. There's almost like this light level of sheerness to them where it kind of can shift the shadow underneath. So when I applied this on camera, I applied it just onto the skin. There was no pigment or color beneath it. So on its own, it was like a little bit underwhelming, but I found where this product shines is applying it over top of a different eyeshadow. So I put this over some of the shadows from this palette the other day, and it completely transforms them because it is this like kind of duochrome finish to it. If you put it over a purple, you really get that purple amplified, but I even put it over a green the other day, and I feel like it kind of shifted and brought out some gold tones. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking about this specific shade. I'm sure all the other colors are gonna act a little bit differently, but I do enjoy this. For being as inexpensive as it is, I think it is a fun, useful product, and I find that it sits on the skin better than the NYX product that I think it's trying to dupe. I always ran into the NYX one cracking, drying, and just like needing to be layered up, whereas I think this is a better formulation. Like I said, we're going in a random order today. I'm keeping you on your toes. We're just bopping from category to category, and we're now going to talk about these from Merit. This is the Merit Lip Oil. I have the shade Slick Gelée, and this is a sheer red. It is very beautiful. Like, really enjoy the way this looks on the skin. Super glossy. I would say it definitely looks luxe, both on the lips, but also in the packaging. Like, this is probably some of my favorite packaging I've seen from a lip product in a while. It feels so incredibly luxurious. The only thing I don't like about this, to be honest, is the applicator. It is like incredibly tiny, if you see that. It is probably the smallest doe foot I've seen on a lip gloss in a while. So I just don't find that it picks up enough product. One, it almost needed like a scoop in the center of the doe foot or something, because it doesn't pull out a lot. That being said, I think a little bit of this goes a long way. So you don't necessarily need a lot, because a little bit still looks glossy and beautiful, but it's just such a small doe foot that I feel like I'm almost playing with like toy makeup. I wish this doe foot was like at least double the size, but that could be just a preference thing. Another lip gloss I've been liking that is like a fraction of the price is this one from Essence. So they came out with the Hugs and Teddies collection, which I don't know what the heck that name is, but this lip gloss is a beautiful brown shade called Kissed by Teddy. Has more of a respectable doe foot size in my opinion. And this is like, okay, this actually reminds me of like 2017 lip glosses, you know what I mean? These days, any lip gloss is more of like a lip oil where it's a bit more sheer, shiny. This reminds me of the style of lip gloss formula that was popular a few years back, where it's almost that, it's a little bit more pigmented, you're getting more opacity, it can be sheared out, but when you apply this, you're really gonna get that brown pigment on the lips. So I think it looks not only beautiful, but I also think it looks really high end. When I wear this, I don't think it looks like it was a $5 lip gloss. Like, it looks very luxe. It wears well, and even once the glossy element of this has kind of faded away from eating or whatever I'm doing, I still have a little bit of that color left behind, which I always appreciate. So I'm enjoying this a lot. If you like a brown lip gloss, I think you will really like this one. What I'm not liking from Essence is the Positive Vibes Only Baked Highlighter. In theory, I wanted to like this. In the pan, this has like tons of kick up and fallout, which is not a huge deal, but the texture of this, I wish you could like feel it through the screen. It is rough. It's like not quite sandpaper, but if you were to just like scrape your hand across like a little concrete brick, I swear to you, that's what this feels like. It is just dry, crusty, and on the skin, it doesn't look horrible, I'll be honest, but it's sparkly and super duper glowy. So it really, you would have to love that look. Personally, I don't, but I do know there are people that do. So if you like a really bold glittery highlight, you might enjoy this. It has a duochrome flip to it, so it looks really cool on the skin. I think it's best suited for use on the eyes just based on the finish. I have not really enjoyed this on my cheeks, but regardless, I wouldn't say this is my favorite formula, but you know, you might like it depending on your preference if you like a very, very sparkly look and you don't mind that it's a bit dry. The biggest surprise for me has been this. You saw me testing this out on camera and you saw my shock. This is the LA Girl Velvet Bronzer Contour Stick, and I purchased this in the lightest shade, which is Goddess. It's funny, I think these have been around for a while, but when I purchased this, I was on the Ulta's website and I filtered by new releases, and it showed this under new releases, but I don't know if it's like just this shade or what. But when you see this and when you see the swatches of it, you're gonna be like, whoa, that is so light to be a bronzer, which is exactly what I thought. Like, this looks like a highlight for a medium skin tone, which actually, honestly, it might be beautiful as that. But oddly, I have really loved this as a subtle glowy bronzer. So this on the skin, it takes a little bit more building up, but if you're willing to do that, it looks so glowy. And in the packaging, it looks like it's going to be too sparkly, but on the skin, I find that it just has more of a natural radiance to it without being really like detectable glitter particles. It's creamy and emollient. I also find that I can draw this directly onto the skin with minimal disruption for my foundation, which I think is rare even from high-end formulations. This, I like best picking it up with a brush, but I think it applies nice onto the skin as well. And I think the amount of sheerness that it has to it makes it so effortless and like beginner friendly to use. So I really enjoyed this. The one question I keep getting is, does it fade? I do get a little bit of fading from this, and I think part of that is because of the fact that it is a little bit more sheer to begin with, so it's not necessarily super noticeable and punchy right off the bat, so you're gonna see the fading a bit better, but I don't find it to fade like unevenly. I think it wears well, and if you like a glowy bronzer, I would check out this one from the drugstore. As always, I will have everything linked down below. I do use affiliate links, so if you choose to shop through them, thank you so much for supporting my channel, but thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.